Yeah, hello everyone. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening, Chris. Um, Good evening, Mickey, Lulani, and Anne. Thank you for joining in. So before we start today's session, how many of us reviewed the Linux assignment I gave us last time? I know a couple of people sent me screenshots, and just if you have sent me screenshots, just signify. So how many of us completed the exercise I gave us? Please, I want your feedback. I want your responses. Can you hear me? You know the one I'm trying at me. Yeah, that's the one I'm asking about. I'll prefer you guys on mute and talk though. Okay. I think we'll just come back to that. So for today, what we want to look at is a little bit different. I know we have talked about open source intelligence, or we have talked about some web applications security and also Linux commands. But for today, we'll be looking at social engineering. So not social engineering, not just from the normal user's perspective. We look at it from the attacker's perspective, how this is done, how it is being executed, and all that. So, but before I continue to talk about it, do you guys have any idea what social engineering is? Maybe just one or two persons tell me what you think or what you know social engineering is all about. And please, I want you to unmute and talk.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Please go ahead.
Um, Social engineering, I think it's when one uses phishing to someone or a company just to get information or some details from them.
Now, sorry, Anne, can you go over that again?
Okay, I was saying social engineering, my understanding is when one uses phishing to get something from maybe someone or a company, the information.
Okay, okay, thank you. Anyone else?
So I think that social engineering is like manipulating people to give confidential information.
All right. That's a good one. Mickey, Lilani, what are your thoughts? Hello, Mickey, can you hear me?
Oh, I think social engineering is gaining access to someone's
Yes, I can hear
device
you. My network
illegally.
is a little bit troubling.
All right, Mickey. Lilani, please go ahead.
I think social engineering is accessing someone's device illegally by choosing a backdoor.
Okay. All right. So we have all tried in one way or another. But basically, social engineering. So before I go into discussing what social engineering is all about, really, we know that nowadays organizations spend a lot of money on security when it comes to technology. So technology-wise, most organizations have security products they use. They buy different solutions to prevent attacks, do VAPT exercises, do a lot of things just to make sure that they don't get attacked. But eventually, they still get attacked one way or the other, and you start to wonder if it's that the solutions they have are not effective or probably they are misconfigured. But most times, what most organizations forget to do is that even though you can deploy patches for systems, you can buy security solutions, configure them well, there's one particular element of the organization that you can't easily patch, right? So we have the human element. In every organization, we have like three elements, right? You have the human, you have the technology, you have the process, and you have the human element. So most times the processes can easily be fixed. The technology can easily be fixed as well. You can deploy patches and all that. But the human element is something that most people ignore or don't put enough effort into. And that is what social engineering tends to ride on. So please give me a minute. Okay, yeah. So I was saying, most of the issue is always that organizations really, or people generally, not even organizations alone, people generally um tend to fall for some attacks just based on how the human being is set up, how the human nature is set up, right? So social engineering is just the act of exploiting human weaknesses. I think like Praise said, it's just manipulating people, playing on people's emotions to be able to get information out of them. And we have so take for example someone working in a company, maybe the system administrator of a company or whatever. On a normal day, that person will not give you credentials to their work system or their domain system for whatever reason. But using social engineering methods, any of the methods, you could get that person to divulge that information. It just depends on how well you can play on that person's intelligence or manipulate the person to do exactly what you need. Social engineering is just all about that. It's just all about getting people to do things that on a normal day they won't do, getting information from them that they won't divulge on a normal day. And we have various aspects or various forms of social engineering. We have mentioned some of them. The most common one is phishing, like we have all mentioned, which has to do with emails. So phishing is the one where you get something in your email. Maybe someone tell you to click on a particular link, go to this page, enter some credentials and all that. That's the classic phishing. We also have spear phishing, which is still like phishing, but you're just focused on a particular person and a particular group of people. So rather than sending a broadcast, for example, if you know that okay, this particular person is the person you want to direct the attack to, or this particular group of people in an organization. That's spear phishing. And we have the one that can be done over phone, which we call vishing. So it's like phishing, but it's just with V, starts with V. So vishing. And that's just, I know there are times, maybe, I don't know if it's common in other countries, but in Nigeria, it's quite common, right? When someone will just call you up and say, they are from so bank and they are trying to request for your information, maybe asking you to tell them the number on your card or uh your CVV or whatever. Or they are sometimes they even like request something on your behalf. You get the OTP on your phone and they will call you to request for that OTP. So that's just a form of social engineering. It's not phishing because it's not through email, but that's vishing because it's like voice, right? So it's vishing over the phone. And you have another similar one, which is smishing, which is through text messages. So, all in all, there are a lot of ways or methods in which social engineering attacks can be carried out. So, what we want to look at from a red team perspective now, all that is good, right? So, we have people that try to defend against these things. People in a blue team, basically what they want to do is to protect, right? So, they try to put protection mechanism in place to make sure that, okay, and people don't fall for these kind of attacks, or they put solutions in place like data loss prevention solutions, DLP solutions, I know there are several DLP for email solutions they try to put in place, and some other things they generally try to put in place to ensure that even if someone clicks on a particular link, they don't get to divulge information. But we want to look at it from a red team's perspective, from an attacker's perspective. So if you hear that, okay, someone was sent a phishing email, or someone was a victim of phishing email, how do attackers really do this? How do they really set this up? So that is what we want to look at for today's session. Please give me a minute. So that's what we want to set up, like as I was saying. And generally, of course, there's going to be a disclaimer here. The things we are going to be looking at, they are free tools and they are just for educational purposes. So we are going to be setting up, so I think just a tool and integrating it with maybe Gmail just to see how this whole thing work, how it is being done from attacker's perspective. So I'm going to go ahead to share my screen, and I will just walk us through what we need to do. So please let me know when you can see my screen. So I have to close this first. I'm not sure I want to share that. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right, thank you, Mickey. Okay, so like I was saying, most of these attacks, right? Most times when it comes to creating this attack, creating phishing pages, sending the links to people, and then getting their credentials, it has several components, right? And there are a couple of things you need to do. So what attackers have done over the years is that there are several tools in place that you can use to automate some of this process. So even though it may look complicated, it has been made easy because there are certain tools that you can actually use to automate some of these process, this attack, and they are open source. So I mean, most of them are open source. You can easily just download and set it up on your system. You just to get the configuration right. So there are two popular tools I know to use for this. I think we are going to be looking at only one of them, and that's because the other one requires us to have some kind of setup in the cloud, get a domain name, and all that. So we're going to look at one of them, which is going to be GoFish. So you may have heard of GoFish before. So what I'm just going to do generally is to walk us through the installation of GoFish today and try to do some setup, just see how far we can go. So I'm going to just go to Google. And like I said, GoFish is an open source tool. That means it's freely available on the internet and anybody can download it. I'm just going to search for download GoFish. So the fish is PHISH, not FISH. So we have GoFish, which is an open source phishing framework. And I'm just going to click on their direct link, which is getgofish.com. Let me copy this and put it on the Slack channel. So if you're on getgofish.com, you can read through everything they have here. Basically, it just tell you what it does, setting up template and target, launching a campaign, and tracking the results. So again, like I said, you want to see how this is being done actually from the attacker's perspective, how they get to send out these emails, and how they get to capture credentials when someone click on a particular link. So I think what we're going to do first is to download. So I can click on download, and it's free, right? It's open source, it's free. So we can download this, and that should take us to their GitHub page. So on this GitHub page, we can download for any operating system. Yeah, So they have for Linux, they have for Mac OS X, and for Windows. So I believe most of us are on Windows here, except for Mickey. So Mickey, if you want to set this up, you probably need to download this one for Linux. So this Linux 64-bit.zip, that will be the one you have to download for your own system. But for the rest of us on Windows, you can just download this version for Windows. I'm just going to click on this, and that should download the file for me. So I'm just going to put it in my downloads folder. So I think my downloads folder is fine, and just save it there. That should be done in like 30 seconds or so. That depends on how fast my internet is. At the same time, I also open up a terminal to work with. Uh, okay. Please, if you have questions at any point, just either drop it in the chat or unmute and call my attention so you can ask, and I'll try to answer. Alright, so my download is done. It's a zip file, right? So you can actually just go to your file explorer and unzip the file. But for me, I'm just going to open a terminal and unzip from there. Still going to be a similar process. So from my terminal, I'm going to switch to my downloads folder because that's where I have the file. So I'll go to downloads, and I will unzip the file from PowerShell. Again, there's no reason for you to do this on PowerShell. You can go to your file explorer, just click on the file and extract. But getting familiar with terminal shell commands will actually help you make things go faster. So I'm just going to do this from PowerShell. And I think the command to unzip files from PowerShell is expand archive. So the name of the file I downloaded is gofish. Okay. So the name of the file I downloaded is gofish, and I'm going to just extract it here. That will probably take a while to do the extraction, and hopefully I should have the folder once it's done. So I don't think it extracted properly. So let me just do it again, and I'm going to remove the destination. Okay, so let me try to change directory now and see. Okay, now I have it. So in this directory, we have a couple of things. Gofish, like I said, it's for any platform. So we downloaded the Windows version because I'm currently running this off Windows, and we have the exe file we can run. So the thing is, even if you extract from File Explorer, you still have to run this binary from the terminal. Because if you try to double click the exe, it may not run. So you still have to open the terminal and execute the exe from the terminal. So we have a couple of files here. We have the config.json file, the db. We won't worry much about any of them really. The only thing we want to run is this gofish.exe file. This is the file we need to run so we can launch the gofish interface. So gofish, even though we have to like start it from the terminal, it's not a CLI application. It has an interface. So it's going to, once we start up the application, it will give us a URL we can access on our browser and configure everything we need to configure. So what I'm going to do now is to start this, and the way to start it is just by using a dot, a backslash, then gofish.exe, and that should do a couple of things. You should do a couple of things, and there's only one thing we need to take note of really. So if we look at this output, it's going to do some default initial configuration, initial setup, but what we need to watch out for is it says starting admin server as this URL. So we know that the admin server is running on 127.0.0.1 and port 3. That's where we have the admin server. So let me go to that admin server first. So I'm going to open up a new tab here and go to HTTPS 127.0.0.1 port 3333. So we get this warning because it's using a self-signed certificate. So I'm just going to click on advanced, then click on proceed. So we have this page that's asking us to sign in. So you need credentials to sign in here. And the way to get that credential is if we go back to the terminal we started Go Fish from. So if you look up here, it says, please log in with the username admin and the password. So we have this auto-generated password for us. I'm going to copy this and I shut down the server by mistake. Okay, so I'm just going to copy the password, then go back to the web page and I can enter the username as admin and the password as this, then sign in. So it says CSRF invalid. Let me just refresh the page. So admin with the password I copied. So once you log in, it tell you to put a new password because the initial password was auto-generated. It's going to ask you to generate a new password. So I'm just going to enter a password here. Saying the password is very weak, which is fine by me. I'm just going to set the password. Now we're on the dashboard. Again, you have to keep in mind what we are trying to do. We are trying to set up a phishing environment. At the end of the day, the objective is that at the end of the day, we want to be able to set up GoFish and we want to be able to use it to send out phishing mails. So send out phishing mails, that's the end goal. I want to look at how we can use GoFish to do all that. So on GoFish, on this interface, we have several options on this menu. We have the API documentation, the user guide, webhooks, user management, and all that. But we only need like about 5 of these options. And the way we configure it is from like bottom up. So the account settings, we don't really need that, except you want to use some sort of API where you can copy here the UI setting and all this. So we don't really need all this. Where we need to start from is from the sending profiles. So everything we need is from sending profiles all the way to dashboard. But we start the configuration by starting from the lowest one, the sending profiles. So what do we mean by sending profiles? What sending profiles is all about is if you want to send out phishing emails, you have to send it out from a particular place, a particular email address. That's where you want to send from. On a normal day, if you want to send out emails to people, what you do is that you go to your mail provider, say Gmail, for example. You go to that provider, then you click on compose and you compose that email, right? And everything is fine. But in this case, we are using a tool to automate the process. So we need to set up the tool to be able to send out emails on our behalf. That's why we need to configure a sending profile. And if you just do this, if you start the application, you should not have any sending profile configured. So I'm just going to click on new profile. And we should have this page asking us to fill some things. So for the profile name, it can be anything. So I'm going to call this Tech IT, Tech It Girls, Phishing Session. It can be anything really, but we have a name for the sending profile. There are several ways you can send out emails, but currently, GoFish only supports SMTP, which is server mail transfer protocol. So that's the only protocol supported at the moment on GoFish. So that's why this is disabled. We can't change this option. Then we have the SMTP from option. Now, when you send out phishing emails, the person will see that the email is coming from a particular person. So what they are going to see is what we need to provide here. So this option, right, we need to apply the email address we want to send from. Now, again, when it comes to sending out these emails, there are basically several ways we can do it. So what I'm going to be showing us is how we can set up GoFish with Gmail to send out phishing emails. Now, most times when you want to send out phishing emails in a real engagement, you are required to create your own, get your own domain name. So you have to have your own domain, and you also have to have your own mailbox. So where you can easily send those phishing mails from. That will make it more realistic in a real engagement. But I know that most people who don't have the access to get a domain. So for you to get your own domain name on Namecheap, for example, you probably need to be spending like three up to as much as maybe $10 or $12. Not everyone wants to do that, right? So we're going to start by looking at the option for how we can use Gmail to do this process. So using GoFish and Gmail together, and then maybe I can show us how we can also use a custom domain. But it's still going to be this same process eventually. So here we need to specify the email address we are going to be sending out phishing mails from. I'm just going to use my own address here. So this is my email address. One of my email addresses. So I'm going to use this here. As for the hosts, we need to specify the SMTP host for Gmail. And the way you can find us is actually easy. So we can go to Google and do a search for SMTP hosts, Gmail. And this is SMTP host for Gmail. So we need to use smtp.gmail.com. And I think we also need to use port 25, but we'll confirm that. I'm just going to go back to this page and paste that here and also use ports. Let's start with port 25. If it fails, I'll probably need to go ahead and change it to either 465 or 587. But I think I'm going to use port 25 first and see. So the username as well, even though it's saying username, what we need to configure here is the same thing as the SMTP from. So we also need to provide the username, which is going to be the same as the email address we are sending from. Now, this password is where it gets tricky. If you have your own custom domain, if you have your own custom mailbox, you can easily use the password you set up for your own mailbox. But in this case, we want to use Gmail. And generally, it's not advisable for you to put your Gmail password in applications like this, even though it's set up locally in your system. It's not advisable to put your Gmail password. So what we are going to do is to create an app password. So there's a feature of Gmail as called app password. So we can use an app password, which is going to be an alternative password for us to log in, or for this application to be able to send emails on our behalf. So to do that, you need to go to your Gmail. So I'm going to go to mail.google.com, which will take me to my Gmail. And we need to create something. So we need to create an app password. So once you are in your mailbox, you need to come here. So where my cursor is currently, you need to come to where you have this, your user or your icon here. So click on this, then click on manage your Google account. So if you go to manage your Google account, we want to search for something. So up here, it's under security actually. So you can go to security and we can look for, can't even find it. But what we want to search for is called app password. So up here, I'm just going to search for app. So app and password. And if you search for a password, you'll see it as one of the options here, and it's under security. So I'm going to click on that, and it should give me an interface. So it should tell you to enter your password. So let me see if I remember the password for this. Okay, so I have the password. You may notice on your end, if you don't have 2FA enabled for your Gmail account, and you click on app password, it will tell you to enable 2FA first. So any Gmail account you're using for this activity, it has to have 2FA enabled. So if you don't, it's going to tell you to set up 2FA first before you can get to this app password page. But once you are here, you can read a bit about what app passwords do. So app passwords help you to sign into your Gmail, into your Google account on other apps and services that don't support modern security standards. So even though they are less secure, we can still use them as a way to authenticate. So we can simply create one app password, and it can be any name. So we need to give it a name. We can use any name for this. And again, I'm just going to call it Tech IT Girls and click on create. So once you do this, it's going to pop up and show you a password. So the app password this is the password you need to copy. Now, once you need to make sure that you copy this password and paste it in GoFish or put it somewhere you can always access. The reason is once you click on done, it's going to go and you won't be able to view that password again. So you need to actually take note of it. And even though there are spaces in between, we don't need to make any changes to it. So I'm just going to highlight everything, then copy. So I'm just going to highlight everything, click on copy, then go back to GoFish and paste that password here. So one thing to keep in mind is you are not to put your actual Gmail password. Don't put your actual Gmail password here. Make sure you generate an app password as you have done, and whatever value you copy from here is going to be what you paste here eventually. And now we can test if this is working or not. You can actually send a test email. So I'm going to click on send test email. And I'm going to say first name is, I'm going to call it first, last name, I'm going to call it last. For the email address, I'm still going to use the same address. And for the position, I'm just going to say IT and click on send. So I'm just testing to see if this actually works or not. So if this doesn't work, I probably need to change that post number I put up earlier. If it works, you should tell us email sent. So if I don't see email sent, that means it hasn't worked. So this is taking a while. It's taking too long, which is not a good sign. And if I check the terminal, it's saying it has a certificate error. It is a certificate error. So what I'm going to do is to come back here and click on cancel. So I'm going to cancel this and change this port to, let's say 587. So I'm going to use 587, then go to send test email again and click send. I'm going to check the terminal and see. So it's still saying unknown certificates. Um, so let me cancel and check one more time. So let me do 465. So one of them should actually work. So I'm going to try 465 and see if this works. Okay, so this one works, right? This one says email sent. So this is what you need to take note of. For the SMTP host, you need to use smtp.gmail.com, then colon 465. So 465 works. And how do we confirm it actually worked? So if I go back to my email, you see that I have a new email here that says it works. This is an email letting you know that GoFish configuration was successful and we have the details I entered. So this works. That means we can use that sending profile to send out emails to people and they will get it in their mailbox. That's the goal. We want to make sure that our phishing mails get to the person's mailbox. So once this is configured again, start from sending profile, give it a name for the SMTP from, put your email address where you're going to be sending phishing emails from. For the host, we set it as smtp.gmail.com port 465. Now this can change often. So if you use 465 and it's not sending out the mails as you expect, you can change it to 25. If that doesn't work, change to 587. One of the three should work eventually. Then for the username, I need to supply your email address again. Then for the password, again, don't put your actual Gmail password. Go to your Gmail account and create an app password like we did here. So this app password is going to be the one you copy and you paste here. And once you do all that, you can actually send a test email to see if everything is set up properly. Now we can save profile. So once save profile, we have this sending profile saved and we can go to the next thing. So the landing page. what we mean by landing page is that when someone, so when the person gets an email address, we send out the phishing mail, the person gets the mail, and they click on a particular link. What are they going to see? Now, if you remember, if you have ever experienced this phishing stuff before, you notice that, okay, you get a particular link in your mailbox and you click it, and it takes you to a particular page. So say, for example, if the attacker is trying to fish for Facebook credentials or Twitter credentials or LinkedIn credentials, what's going to happen is that um, you see a particular link in the email body, right? Then you click on that link and it takes you to a page that looks like Facebook or that looks like Twitter, that looks like LinkedIn, even though it's not the actual page. But that's what the page is going to look like. And that's what we mean by landing pages in Go Fish. So a landing page is the page the user is going to see eventually when they click on a particular link from our phishing mail. So to create a landing page, of course, by default, you're not going to have one. So I'm just going to click on new page so we can create a landing page. So here, I'm just going to click on new page. Please give me a second. Mm. Can you still see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right, thank you. Okay. So on this page, I'm just going to click on new page, and then we need to give it a name. So I'm going to call this again. It can be any name. So I'm just going to call it Tech IT Girls again. Let me just give it the same name, right? Now, there are a couple of things we can do here. There are a couple of things we can actually do here. What we can do is, let's say you want to create a clone of Google, for example, or you want to create a clone of Gmail, such that if someone, or let's say clone of Facebook, such that if the person goes to clicks on our link, they're going to see a page that looks like Google. And we can actually create our own custom landing page, or we can use the import site feature. Please give me a minute. I'm getting a particular pop-up on my screen and I'm trying to figure out why that is the case. Okay. So we can either create our own custom landing page, or we can easily import. So I can click on import sites, and that will ask us the URL we want to import. So let me see what the actual Facebook page looks like now. So if I go to facebook.com, we're just going to try with Facebook and see if we get any luck. I know some of these sites have protections in place to prevent things like this, but let's just see if this works. So if we go to web.facebook.com, we have this page that looks like this. So I'm going to close this, and here I'm going to supply that URL. So https web.facebook.com. That's what I want the person to see when they click on any link in my in the phishing email we send out eventually. So I'm going to click on import, and that will take a while to actually import Facebook's page. And you will also see what it looks like here once it's done importing. So you'll see what it looks like here. Now we also need to do something. So since we know that the user is going to be entering some kind of, we expect the user to enter some kind of email, username, phone number, and password combination. I mean, if we are successful, we expect the person to enter this information. That means we want to capture data. So we can check the box here to capture submitted data. And we can also select the option to capture passwords. If you are doing from an attacker's perspective, this is the goal, right? You want to capture the person's credential, username, password, email password, whatever. But if you are doing this for an organization, say for example, an organization has asked you to do social engineering as part of your exercise, as part of your pen test, and you want to perform this exercise, sometimes you can capture submitted data, but they may ask you not to capture passwords. That's for privacy issues. So some organizations that want a full-blown test will tell you to go ahead and capture everything, but you need to actually ask the organization if this is something they want or not. Because if you capture passwords for organization without telling them if you're on an engagement, it may give you some issues, it can give you some trouble. So you need to ask if you are allowed to capture passwords as part of your social engineering activity. If you are doing this for an organization that you have authorization to do it. So if you check the box for capture passwords, that means credentials are not going to be encrypted. So whatever credential, whatever information the person enters is going to be in plain text. That is why you need to get authorization and then redirect to. So if the person submits this credential, we want to redirect them somewhere. So where do we want to redirect them to? So to make the user not so suspicious, I'm going to redirect the user back to facebook.com. So which should be the original facebook.com now. So again, we just need to import sites and give it the URL you want to clone. I think that's the word for it. So URL you want to clone, then where you want to redirect them to after they supply their credential. So I'm just going to take them back to originalfacebook.com so they won't notice much difference. And then I'll click on save page. So now we have a sending profile, we have a landing page. Now we need to create an email template. So we are going to be sending this email to multiple people. That's your point of phishing, right? You want to send it to a couple of people at the same time. So we need the templates to follow for these things. So I'm going to click on new templates, and we can use a mailing template actually, but let's fill the template name first. It can be anything. So I'm going to call it Tech IT Girls Phishing again. And let's see. For this envelope sender, we need to specify our email address again. That's from this email address used in the sending profile. That's the same thing we need to put here for the envelope sender. Then for the subjects, we can make the subject anything. So we can say Facebook account expiration. Now, if you read about social engineering, what it does really is that there's no one size fits all when it comes to social engineering. There's no like one proven technique that's going to work on everybody, right? So you need to actually know how to craft your attacks carefully. You need to know what the people want to click on and what they will not want to click on. And part of that, it boils down to the kind of subjects you use. So the kind of subjects you use will probably lead them to either open the email and even click on it or not. So this one I'm going to say, let's just call it importance notice. The reason I change it from Facebook whatever is because if I send that, there are a lot of email filters now, and Gmail has a lot of them nowadays. Most organizations have them. They will probably filter that email and send it to spam directly, and the user will never see it. So I'm just trying to avoid some names. That's why I changed the subjects, and this may still even go to spam, but again, you can just play around with different words on subjects, and it's just one of the ways we can try to evade email going to spam. So I'm just going to call this important notice. Then this way we need to supply the templates. What's the actual mail content you want to send to the person or send to the users. So what I'm going to do here is look for a template online. There are a lot of templates, and I think we're just going to search for one of them because I don't want to create one manually. So I'm going to search for Go Fish templates. And I know there are a couple of good ones from, yeah, I think, yeah, this repository has a good one. So I'm going to go to email templates and pick any of these templates. So I'm going to pick the one that says, so you can use any one of them really, but let me see, charity-based template. Let me just use charity-based templates, or system is out of these templates. Anyone, we're just testing these things out. So once you click on any template you want to use, I'm just going to click on this icon here to copy raw files. So I want to copy the contents. Once that is copied, I'm going to go back to Go Fish and go to HTML so I can paste it here. Okay, so once that is pasted, I know that this email template I copied does not match our Facebook whatever, but I'm just going to leave it just as showcase, right? Maybe in tomorrow's class we'll look at better ways we can craft this kind of messages to make it look more realistic. But for now, we'll just go ahead with this. Okay, so I'm going to click on, and the good thing is you can also attach files to this mail, right? So let's say you wonder when they send phishing emails and they attach files that maybe there are viruses and stuff like that. You can actually attach files from here as well. So if you probably have a file you want to attach, you can use the option to attach the file. I'm not going to be adding any files here. I'm just going to click on Save Templates. So now we have a sending profile, we have a landing page, we have an email template. We are almost done. And then we need to configure users and groups. So we want to send this mail to users, right? A couple of users. Or if we have a list of users, you can upload everything here. So we need to create that list of users and groups. So I'm going to click on New Group. And the group name, again, I'll just call it Tech IT girls. So if you have the list of users in a CSV file, probably you want to send it to a lot of people. You probably want to put it in a CSV file and import bulk users. But I don't have a lot of users I want to do now. I just want to do maybe 1 or 2 email addresses. There's no restriction on the number of email addresses you can send this to. So that's why you can use a CSV file. For this one, I'm just going to use a couple of email addresses that belongs to me. So we can just add that here. I can add someone else. So let's say Trojan Human. So I'm going to put another email address that belongs to me as well. And of course, you should not be doing this without authorization, right? And I think I spelled that Gmail wrong. Can't even see what I'm typing there. Gmail.com position, I can say head of security. So just to save time, I'm just going to leave these two. You can add as many as you want. You can even upload CSV. Then click on Save Changes. Now we have a sending profile. That's what's going to allow us to send out emails. We have a landing page, which is the page the person will see when they click on the link in our email. We have an email template, so which is going to be the body of the email we are sending out. Then we have users and groups, which is a list of people who want to send this email to. Now we can go ahead and create a campaign. So a campaign is the actual exercise, the process of sending out these emails to people is what we call a campaign. So I'm going to click on click on the button to create a new campaign. We can give it any name. I'm just going to give it the same name. Then when you select an email template. So we created an email template earlier. So we have that email template highlighted here, selected. Also the landing page, you have the landing page selected. As for the URL, this needs to be a URL the user can access. Now, we are doing this locally in our system. So I'm going to use this local address 127.0.0.1. In a real world scenario, you want to probably buy a domain for this. You want to use a domain. You want to make sure that if the person clicks on the link, he can access the domain over the internet and something like that. We'll probably look at how we can set that all up tomorrow. Like I said, getting the domain costs you some sort of money, right? 3 to maybe $12. But we'll just do this locally first, see it works, then discuss other things tomorrow. So for the URL, we are trying this out. If you install GoFish locally, you also need to supply the local URL here. So HTTP 127.0.0.1. The launch date, we can leave it as it is. Sending profile, or can also leave this sending profile we created earlier. We can leave this. Then when you select the group we want to send this mail to. So we created a user and group section earlier as well. So I'm going to click on that group. If you have multiple groups you want to send to, you can also select everything here. Then we can click on launch campaign. That's going to ask us if we are sure. I'm just going to click on launch and click on OK. So now we can see this is how GoFish makes these things easier actually. So it gives us some sort of way to track these things. So it says that sends out emails to 2 people. These are the 2 addresses I entered earlier. So that sends out the mail. The email status is sent. Currently we have not opened the email, right? So every other thing is still 0. If I go to my mailbox and open the email, I'll also see that here as opened. If I click on the link, I'll see that here. If I submit data, so if I click on the URL and submit data to show here, and if the person reports the email address, the message as spam or whatever, we also see the information here. So let me go to my mailbox and see if we get it. So in my mailbox, you can see I have a new message. It's showing me because I sent it to the same email address, but we'll see the subject I created earlier. If you remember, the subject I used was important notice. So we can see that subject here, important notice. And if I click on this, like I said, the template I used does not match Facebook, but I'm just going to use it here. So it's going to say, okay, this user, the information technology department has taken your computer is critically out of date and whatever. So it says you log in and click on a particular link. That's the actual thing we want to look at. So what to have everything we have configured here. So everything we set up here, this campaign is just going to be the one to send us the email. And I opened the email, right? So let me refresh this. So I want to refresh and see if this will update to 1, but has not updated yet. So let me go back to the my mailbox, open this email again. And again, this is the point where whoever you send the email to gets their mailbox, and depending on how catchy your whole context is, the person will probably get to click on the link or not, or probably report it as spam. But for demonstration purposes, I'm going to click on this link and we'll see what it looks like. So you see what the page looks like now. And this is because we cloned Facebook page, right? We use Facebook as a clone. If you have any other page you want to use as a clone, that will probably be the page you see here. And the reason you are seeing 127.0.0.1 here again is because we are doing this locally. In a real test, you probably want to get a domain like I was explaining earlier, and that domain name will be what is going to show here. So the user will not even be able to tell much difference, right? So you don't want the whole goal of phishing engineering is that the whole goal of phishing is that you don't want the user to notice much difference when it comes to these things. So even when they see the page, they should not be able to quickly know that something is wrong. And getting a domain will make that much more possible. But in this case, we have, let's just assume that we have a custom domain and everything is fine. And a victim clicks on our link in the mail, they get something that looks like their actual Facebook page, which is not the original one. So what we're going to demonstrate is enter some credentials. So I'm going to say email address is, I'm just going to say test@gmail.com. And for the password, I'm going to enter any value as a password. And then click on login. Now, if I click on login, the page is going to load. And you see, if you notice something, it redirects to the actual Facebook page. So if you notice earlier, we also configured a redirect URL. So if the person submits data, they get redirected somewhere just to make sure that they don't really notice that something has happened. So after I entered those credentials, the page redirected to the original Facebook page. Now, the user has been redirected to the original Facebook page, but what happens on our own end? When I go back to Go Fish, we see something now. So the email has been opened, it was clicked, and data was submitted. Now, it told us that data has been submitted. Okay, how do we verify what was submitted? That's when we can click on the person that submitted the data. So we see the 2 users. So far, I didn't open the email for the second person I sent it to, which is my other email address. But for this user, we can come here and see what happened. So the campaign was created this time, email was sent this time. We can even see the operating system the person is using. So the person is using Windows. I'm using Windows 11. This one is saying 10, but that's fine. We can see the browser the person is using, Chrome. So the Chrome version as well. And it says submitted data, right? And I can click on view details. Now, if you click on view details, you'll see a couple of things. This is the original URL. Let me see. This is the email I entered. And I think there's something Facebook is doing. So Facebook is actually encrypting the password on the front end, which is interesting. I didn't put that in mind when I was doing this. So Facebook is encrypting the password. But if you use any other type of application, let's say maybe GitHub or whatever kind of URL, most URLs actually, you will see the password you entered here in plain text as well. So instead of encrypting the password, you probably see those credentials in plain text as well. So that's what GoFish helps us to do. So to make the whole process of sending out these phishing emails very, very, very easy. And whatever the credential the person supplies, you will see that information in the submitted data section. And you can even replay the credential, right? So let's say you want to try to replay this credential, you can also click on replay, and it will ask you which URL you want to submit this data to. So I'm going to try to submit it to web.facebook.com. And of course, this is not going to work because I entered wrong credentials, right? But let's imagine that person actually entered a real credential. It will try to go to that page and log in. In this case, it's not going to work because you didn't use correct credentials. But that's how we can set up GoFish and try to simulate these phishing mails. That's how we can do all that. And like I said, this is used by real attackers. So when when we are setting this up on our own, trying to test it out, make sure you are just using it maybe on an account you own, or maybe with your friends, and make sure you get their consent. So just your purpose is to learn, and it's something that you need to know properly if you hope to go into red team fully. Social engineering is one part of red team that is important. And knowing how to set up phishing campaigns is actually a good one if you want to do red team fully. This is what I'm going to talk about on setting up GoFish and use connecting it with Gmail. The other thing tomorrow, so like I said, there are two major tools I know to do this. The other one is requires us to have a server, have a domain name and all that. I'll probably just talk us through it tomorrow. Not everybody will be able to set it up eventually because you have to spend some money. So I'll just talk us through it. Then maybe later in tomorrow's session, also look at how we can analyze phishing emails. So how we can easily identify phishing emails, how we can analyze them. And the reason we want to do that is it's mostly a blue team activity, right? So identifying phishing emails and trying to know how to fix them or whatever is more of a blue team exercise. But the reason we are going to be looking at it from a red team perspective is because we want to see how these blue teamers detect phishing emails. If you understand how people look at our phishing emails, you probably also know how to craft your phishing emails better so you don't get detected. So that's the whole point of what we are going to do tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm just going to walk us through the other tool I mentioned, then I'll look at phishing email analysis. So we are going to analyze a couple of phishing emails, try to see if you can identify what a phishing email is, how people are generally identify it, and how we can bypass it. And also how we can use AI to generate some of your phishing emails to make it look more legit. So that's probably what I'm going to discuss tomorrow. And yeah, that's everything I have for us today. So if you have any questions, please, now will be the time to ask. Okay. So, can you still hear me? Let me ask that first.
Yes, sir.
All right. So do you have any questions, any concerns? I'm going to call us one after the other because I think everyone does not want to talk. So, Anne. Hello, Anne, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. So do you have any
Yes, I can hear you.
do you have any questions for me, Anne?
I just want to say thank you for the lesson, and at what time will tomorrow's lesson be at?
What time tomorrow's class is going to be at?
Yeah.
So tomorrow's class is going to be 10 a.m. Nigerian time. I don't, what time would that be for you?
It will be 12.
12. Okay, Kenya.
Yeah.
Yeah, that will be 12 p.m. for you. So it will be 10 a.m. Nigerian time, 12 p.m. for you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
And you're welcome. Lunani, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I don't have any question.
Okay. Thank you. Mickey.
No, no question, but thank you for the class though.
All right. And then Rachel and Chris.
I don't have any questions, sir.
All right. So Talia is not on this call. I know she's the one that takes attendance, but what I'll need you to do before you leave the meeting, please type hello in the chat. Then also Chris or Rachel, either one of you, Please let me take the screenshot of everyone on the call presently and send to me after the session, please. Yeah, just drop hello in the chat. Then please let me take a screenshot of the list of participants and send it to me after the session. Okay, have we all done that? So I see Praise, Lulani, and Mickey, Rachel. I think that's everyone, yeah? And that's everyone. All right, if there are no other questions, thank you ladies for joining. Enjoy the rest of your night and I'll see you in tomorrow's session. Bye everyone.
Bye.